It's the McShay Show presented by FanDuel. It's our time. It's officially NFL draft season, and you can get in on all the action with FanDuel. FanDuel has lots of ways to bet on the draft, like pick position, team to draft a player, exact order, top 5 and 10 picks, and so much more. When you win, you get paid instantly. FanDuel always has exclusive offers. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use, so download FanDuel Sportsbook app today and make every moment more during the NFL Draft. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. And listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Boy, do we have a big show today. I can't contain it anymore. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. We're talking about a lot of news or noise. There's a lot going on right now. I'm just prepping something big's about to explode, okay? Plus, my top 300 is out. It's official. It's final. We're going to walk through it, and he's going to pick it apart, I'm sure. And then,
can't wait.
Honest to goodness, one of my favorite human beings in the entire world, and I know he's one of yours too, Joe Douglas, is joining us today. Tuck, play me some music, man. Whoa, Mitch, are you good?
I'm great, man.
Now, Tuck, play me some music. I sense it. I feel something that, like, I talked to someone who like knows everything recently, and they're like, I just get the feeling. Brace for it, because this is the longest in NFL draft history. Correct me if I'm wrong. The longest we've gone in NFL draft history without a trade being made in the first round before we got to the first night of the draft.
I think that's right.
So it's been like, okay, and I like all of a sudden there's like these whispers. I get a text today. We're getting ready to get in the car. Mensch is waiting for me. He's got the car pulled up. I drive because I don't trust his driving. and 15 minutes later, I come strolling down, and we're late. I'm taping with Big Cat and PMT because I got a text and then a phone call, and people are trying to figure out what's going on at the top of this board. It's a lock. Cam Ward's going number 1, right? But there's been a lot of noise, and now the noise isn't just outside with the media. The noise is everywhere. Phone calls are being made. That number 2 pick is someone trying to move up. Apparently, there's a team out there that is like Travis Hunter crazy. And we'll talk to Joe Douglas later on in the show, okay? And we'll ask him about the process. And we obviously know some stuff, but I want someone who sat one of 32 people to sit in that chair as a general manager and want to know what the process is. But I can tell you, like, calls are being made now, and I'm curious because I feel like something's about to happen.
Remember that movie Twister?
Yes.
Before like the storms come, like they show the wind chimes and they start to just go a little bit.
Yeah,
it feels like that's what's happening.
And the wildlife, like there's no noise.
Right. It gets quiet.
There's no birds chirping.
And something's coming.
Something's coming. And so here we are. It's Tuesday, draft week. Top 300's out today. Mock reveals tomorrow.
Can't wait.
If you don't subscribe to the McShay Report, we would like for you to subscribe. We'll put it that way. You can subscribe for free, but I'd suggest you it's
double
$1.
Down.
$1 draft pass. Get through draft.
The run to the podium, is that right?
Sprint to the podium.
Sprint to the podium.
So yeah, the McShay Report. We've got the top 300s out right now. Mock draft is tomorrow. The mock reveal, and then we've got the draft Thursday night.
We're
Live
rolling.
stream. We're rolling. But like, I don't even have time for all this promo stuff. You're here. You'll be here. You're with us. By the way, the live stream is going to be an absolute blast. We have a great guest coming, at least one. We got it's going to be awesome. Hour before, 7 p.m. Eastern time, with us the entire night, okay? We're going to go through the entire draft. Like, we've been ahead on everything. We've been ahead on Shador. Been ahead on the Giants stuff. We've been ahead on the quarterbacks. Like, we've been trying to tell you ahead of time because I don't have any constraints anymore, Mensch.
Right.
Like, we've been trying to get you, so, like, might as well ride it out with us. So we'll see you Thursday night. I'm interested now. I'm truly interested. I don't think Cleveland's going to trade out of this pick, but something big is coming down the pipe because too many people are now kind of.
Who's the team? Which team is it? I'm dying to know.
Everyone wants to say Dallas, and Jerry Jones made the comments that something vague around like we're going to be making a move for a player before or after the draft. Like, okay, I could see Dallas. It would make a ton of sense,
right?
A ton of sense,
both in terms of need, personality.
It's a hell of a lot better than sticking at 12 and taking Tet McMillan. If he's there, don't think he's going to be. We'll get to that in a minute, but he could be. Or Matthew Golden, who I love, but I don't love him like I love Travis Hunter, and then getting a cornerback with it. Who else?
Like, who else could it be? It just screams Dallas to me. Maybe I just have blinders on. I just think it's Dallas. Could it be like, San Francisco maybe trying to make that move? That would seem strange to me.
And so here's my question. I like the gossip like everybody else. It's fun, right? And like we do like news or noise. I don't know at this point. And I'll be honest, sometimes I think I'll tell you what the news is and what portions of the news I can report. And there's plenty of stuff we'll tell you in the next 15 minutes. There's stuff that could be news, but as of right now, I just got to call it noise. I like the gossip. I like the fun. Who doesn't? Like, look at reality TV. It's exploded.
Right.
Everyone loves like all this stuff. But then after like having the fun for a minute, I like to really like what's the football aspect of it. And yeah, who doesn't want Travis Hunter? But who's got the picks to go do something?
Yeah, it's got to be someone early because then if it's not someone early, you're giving up a haul to move up that far. Right?
Vegas has needs at wide receiver and corner early. I don't see them, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Spytek's got roots in that organization.
It screams Dallas.
It screams Dallas. But it's going on. There are calls going on. And it's not just with the number 2 pick. Here's my question, though, the football aspect of it. You've had all this time, and I think Joe will explain it to you later, but I can tell you this much. Like, there's a reason why it keeps getting reported, like, okay, this is the third longest it would ever be without a first round trade. This is the second long. Now it's official. This is the longest we've gone leading up to the draft, where a first round pick has not been traded. There's a reason that it's such news because normally there is one, and normally there is one because teams like to have their house in order before they get to their final meetings. Okay, you got the owner coming in early this week and being like, what's the plan? Lay it out. Who's at the top? Who could we trade up for? Who do we have? What's our plan? As any good owner of a business would do. Bring in senior leadership and tell so you want to have your house in order. Could you
potentially have an owner walking into that room right now and saying, no. This is who I want.
You think the house is in order,
yeah,
but
figure it out, man.
It's not in the order I'm looking at it to be in.
Right.
That's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. So that part's going to be, but then I keep going back, Todd. Keep going back. I don't usually talk to myself in third person, but like I keep like trying to remind myself. Why would Cleveland? It would have to be a monster.
Oh.
They've had all the time in the world. If you show any sign of interest in moving out of this pick, you have sent out the pheromones, if you will. You've let everyone kind of, well, hey, give me a call. Hey, tell your buddy, give me a call. Why would Cleveland even entertain? And I'm not saying they are, but it's just fascinating that now, Tuesday, 2 days before the draft, there's like, I've got someone calling who's going to be in that final room, reaching out, wanting to know, is this real?
It's got to be a top 12 team in my mind. The firepower it would take outside of that range to get up there for this player specifically. Again, how many times have we talked about it? I mean, there's 3 blue chippers or whatever you want to say in this draft. He's number 1 on your board, right? Final rankings, Travis Hunter's number 1 on the Todd McShay board, correct?
Yeah. I think this is a good 30-second exercise to go through. Who are teams that actually have firepower, not just for Travis Hunter, okay? I'm looking at alphabetically, just going down here.
Okay.
Buffalo has 3 picks in the top 62, but don't have a third-round pick. And again, I'm not doing this exercise just for Travis Hunter, number 2. I'm talking because we're going to get to several teams real quickly here that are allegedly looking to move up, okay? And so I think it's interesting to look. Buffalo's got 3 picks in the top 62, but no third. Chicago's got the 3 picks in the top 41, 4 in the top 72. Cleveland's got 4. They're not for this situation, but they're not moving. They're not moving even. But that is important for the second round if they're trying to move back up to first, which I'm told that they're not leaning in that direction for a quarterback.
And remember, all these picks aren't created equal. I mean, if you're looking to trade with Buffalo, you're thinking, I'm picking late in every one of those rounds. So, I mean, not that Buffalo would be making this move, I don't think, but just remember that with certain teams.
New Orleans got 4 picks in the top 93. They're going to need him to move up if they want to move up for a Jackson Dart. Same thing with the Giants, 4 picks in the top 99. Same scenario for Jackson Dart. How many? San Francisco's needs all 11 picks, to be quite honest with you, but they've got 4 in the top 100. Seattle's got 5 in the top 92.
Okay.
But that doesn't feel like John Schneider to me.
No, they just got Cooper Kupp. I mean, I know they got rid of DK, and Cooper Kupp is where he's at his career, but it doesn't pass the smell test.
No, from 18. All right, but
do you have Dallas's picks there? Do you know?
Dallas has their chalk. They have 10 picks, okay?
Okay.
But Dallas is sitting here at 12 obviously, and then at 44 and 76. They have 1 in each of the first 3 rounds. So that means they have 7 picks on day 3. So I mean, I could dig a little deeper for you and go through like yeah, they don't have any crazy early.
No.
So, all right. I get it, but I don't see.
What about Jacksonville? What if it's not Ted at 5, but Jacksonville wants to move up to get Travis? Not that much from 5.
They've got 4. They got 4 picks in the top 88.
Not as much from 5 to 2 as from 12 to 2 or wherever you want to go after that.
That's interesting.
I'm good at this, man. I should be a detective.
All right. Obviously, this portion of it has been noise, but it is interesting because it's happening, and so we'll stick with us. We'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll see if there's any news breaking, and we will. We'll keep iron. I mean, I don't want to go write my final mock draft with all this lurking.
I know,
hanging out there, but we'll do it.
Brutal for all those who are writing mock drafts.
Yeah. All right. Other interesting things, and this one is juicy and complicated, and still to this moment uncertain. But I want to walk you through the Giants situation. I've been saying for 2 weeks now that it doesn't make football sense to me that Brian Daboll would want Shedeur Sanders. Football sense. I've been saying that you look at his track record, you look at the mobility component of it. I don't think Jackson Dart has in fact, Jackson Dart he doesn't drive the ball vertically all that great, but he's got a little more energy on like intermediate throws than Shedeur does. But in terms of what he's been used, sturdy, mobile, that kind of quarterback, I've always thought that Brian Daboll and Kellen Moore with New Orleans, that they would prefer Jackson Dart or a Tyler Shuck, or even as a developmental project, but not for this conversation, a Jalen Milroe over Shedeur Sanders. I've always said Kevin Stefanski is the perfect coach for Shedeur Sanders. So here's what I do know. I want to share what I do know. I do now know that what I've always assumed with Brian, and I've talked to Brian but not specifically about this. But what I've always assumed is that it would be Jackson Dart, and I know it's not Shedeur. Okay, so we can kind of in Sharpie, it's not Shedeur. Here's where it gets really interesting, okay? Because apparently there are some people in the organization, the personnel side, that are a little bit more in favor of Shedeur, okay? But here's the part that what I just shared with you is absolutely news, okay? What now is interesting is we kind of decipher and sift through information as I'm getting texts and talking to people, not on X, not on not on all that, like actually talking to people in the league who have people in connecting dots. I've been told a couple different things when it comes to the Giants. One is that there are personnel people in the personnel department, the scouting department, that prefer Shedeur over that were actually pushing for Shedeur maybe at 3. Daboll is not a Shedeur guy, and Daboll prefers Jackson Dart. I don't know to what level. Here's the part that's fascinating as we're trying to sift through it, and I do not know, but there's speculation in league circles that there's a push from Daboll to use this first pick, the Giants' first pick, on the quarterback. Let's call it Jackson Dart for these purposes. Again, I'm confirming he's not Shedeur, most likely Dart by my football senses. This part is kind of text chains, figuring out, talking to different people. But there's information that leads me to believe that Brian would prefer to not mess around. If we've got a guy, I'm telling you, he's the guy. And I've said this, and I want to make this perfectly clear. Like I've said this with Kellen. I've said it especially with Brian. I believe, and I've said this before, and I put my hand out like this, there's like a handful. And a handful is not dozens. Handful is not really more than 10 for me of human beings in the NFL that can develop and understand the quarterback position and have the offensive, coupled with the offensive brain that Brian Daboll has. So if I got that guy in my building, Steve, I'm leaning on that guy to make this decision. And I've said it before. I'm doing so even if Brian's not there in 3 years. Why am I making a decision on a tech investment if I get a tech genius in the building, even if I don't want him around for 5 years, or if it doesn't work out? Correct. I'm going to lean on him over my agriculture guy.
Yes.
Or my social media director. Yes. You know what I mean? And this guy's one of the skilled elite, in my opinion, and obviously in the Mara family opinion, because they've stuck with it through thick and thin. And they're smart because they have. Okay?
I agree with that.
So, you let Brian make the decision on the quarterback. Now, here's where I'll say, and I love Brian, and I just told you how much I appreciate and respect him. I don't let the coach make the decision on when we're going to take him. Now it's on the GM. If we organizationally have decided, hey, we've got the guy to make the decision, the guy's got his quarterback, he's told us who that guy is. Now it's my job, if I'm Joe Shane, to figure out how the fuck I go get him. Seriously, like now I got to figure it out. I've got Abdul Carter at 3. Maybe like it could turn into a Hall of Fame pass rusher. Going to be a darn good pass rusher. I've got Kayvon Thibodeau, by the way, who we're not sure we want to sign. We haven't done the 5th-year deal. So maybe I bring in, and I've actually heard this. This is not me just making something up. I've actually heard one potential scenario is you take Abdul Carter at 3, you use Kayvon Thibodeau as part of a package to then move back into the first round to get Jackson Dart. Okay? However you're going to maneuver around, if I'm armed with the information that my guy who should be making the decision, quarterback, has said it's Jackson Dart, if that's the guy, but I've also got Abdul Carter, I can't let those two things intertwine. Because the worst thing that can happen here, Giants fans, and anyone in the NFL who's interested in this whole scenario, the worst thing that can occur is that you move back because you get cute and you're like, well, if you want to take Jackson Dart, we can move back a little bit and get Jackson Dart. Let's go pick up a 3. If you move back and you leave a gap of this vulnerability, because right now at 3, you are guaranteed to get Jackson Dart, or you're guaranteed to get Abdul Carter. Shoot, you're guaranteed to get any player in this entire draft class outside of Cam Ward and most likely Travis Hunter. So what I can't let happen if I'm Joe Shane is, yeah, all right, I get greedy. Let's move back. Let's pick up a third and get and take Jackson Dart there because, like, fine, I'll give him his guy, but I'm not doing it 3. So you got to take Abdul Carter there, or you got to take Jackson Dart there. But this is why the GM has to make this decision, because you don't take Jackson Dart at 3. And why don't you take Dart at 3, even if you love him? Because Abdul Carter's sitting there. And so now you better figure out, and you better be on the phone, and you got to figure out where, and now you got to trust your intel. And this is what the general manager, you got to build relationships. I'm telling you, this GM job is not about picking out, he's running a good 40 time with the arm length, and he's like, you got a bunch of guys who can do that. You've graduated that level. You're now the general manager. It's a relationship-based job. And now all your relationships that you should have been developing need to come into play for information. And information provides you the map for where you go and get Jackson Dart. You can't move back, because if you move back, then it might signal, they're going to take Dart there, and maybe it tips New Orleans. And New Orleans goes up a couple spots, gets Dart, and you know what you do? You wake up Friday morning and you're like, uh-oh, shit. I didn't get Abdul Carter, and I didn't get Jackson Dart. And that's the fail. So that can't happen. And I assume from Joe Shane that won't happen. So you take Abdul Carter and you figure out where you go get Jackson Dart.
What happens if you're the front office, and we have our feelings, man, and it doesn't really matter what we think, and because I think I know what you're going to say, but what happens if you're the front office and you love Shedeur Sanders and you're convinced this is the guy who's going to get you back into the Super Bowl? Do you...
You call Dad. You call Dad.
Yeah, you
and
have to, right?
Dad's John Mara.
Yeah, you have to, right?
I promise you.
Because you can't just do it. You can't.
And I've said this before, but I want to make it perfectly clear. And I don't assume that everyone's watched every show. And hold that thought. Mm-hmm. As of Sunday, I was told, and I'm certain of it, that John Mara has allowed his football people to make his football decisions, which is exactly what an owner should do.
Agree. So
credit to the Mara family for doing that.
If the rift gets bad enough, you have to call in Dad. You have to call him in the room and say, I want this, they want that.
I mean, think about the history, like with RG3 and Daniel Snyder and the like.
Yes.
Yeah, it's who, and again, it's a relationship business, and who's closest with Dad.
If you're a Giants fan, are you concerned that they're going to take Shedeur Sanders at 3?
If I'm a Giants fan?
Yeah.
Well, the worst thing that can happen to this organization is you take Shedeur Sanders at 3 after Brian Daboll, who
right.
is the most qualified person in that zip code, actually.
And I see it that way, and you see it that way, but I'm not sure everyone in that building sees it that way.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
I think it's going to be Abdul Carter at 3, and then I think it's up to Joe Shane to figure out what the smart move is. Because as of right now, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people in the league that don't think another quarterback is going to go in the first round. That doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen, but there are a lot of people in the league and people who do the information business. I was going to say peddling, but that sounded petty. Who work in the information business and are great at it. See a map for there not being more than one quarterback, because Pittsburgh's a soft floor. I've told you that for Shedeur Sanders. It's not a cement floor like we thought it was just 5 days ago. And again, I have to repeat myself. I learned one thing I did learn in television. Don't assume everyone's been here the whole time. So I'm going to repeat myself and say Mike Tomlin does like Shedeur Sanders. So the reports that said he doesn't were inaccurate. The reports that said he does like Shedeur Sanders were accurate. And so, but with that information, he can really like him, but that doesn't mean they're going to take him. They don't have a second-round pick. Maybe they're entertaining moving back.
Listen,
they need defensive line help. That's a strong possibility.
I don't mean this as a shot to all the information providers out there, all the inside guys, the insider guys, because I do think they're fantastic at their jobs, but I would remind everyone in the league, you, me, how many of them had Atlanta taking Michael Penix last year where Atlanta took them. There's
Well, that's why this is the greatest. This is the
I
greatest reality.
totally agree.
This is the greatest reality television in the world. The NFL draft.
the longer you wait, what a long night that is. If you're waiting to see if you can get Jackson Dart at the end of the first, or possibly in the beginning, you are in for a long night.
I know, and pull up a picture of the Giants room.
Yeah.
Where does Joe Shane sit? Where does Brian sit?
Right.
I'm going to be watching that a little close. Hey, Tucker.
Yes.
We need a third television. I want one over here for programming. We need another one for the picks, and then we need one on the Giants draft room.
How about the monitor behind you?
Perfect.
Yes.
The audience can watch with us. All right. That's Tucker, by the way. Who's the absolute man. Takes care of all of this. Keeps this thing afloat. We would be doing this. It just wouldn't go anywhere. No one would be able to hear or see it. Okay, next up. Jeanty's getting hot. Ashton Jeanty's getting hot. And
yeah.
I wondered how long this was going to take, because the more people in the league I talk to absolutely love Omarion Hampton, but also recognize there's like 25 other backs in this class. And the more people I actually talk to inside the league are like, yeah, I think early second for Omarion. And actually, the more people I talk to in the league, I started to lean. I think Travion Henderson might have a chance to go before Omarion Hampton and may be the second back drafted in the first round. But we'll see how that plays out. My point is the gap between Jeanty and Hampton or Henderson is a lot bigger than maybe what we thought when we were talking to people a month ago. Okay.
Right.
So that's the backdrop of the information. Where I'm going with this is, we talked to you earlier in the week. The things I can tell you, Jacksonville's not drafting Mason Graham. And I'm told the Raiders are not taking Ashton Jeanty at 6. But that may be a moot point.
Right.
Because I also was told, remember the first thing I reported, and I think we jumped on the Tet McMillan thing, and I think rightfully so, and I think that there's still a strong possibility. But remember when I first told you, I said it's Jeanty and Tet McMillan are the two that make the most sense, based off of Liam Cohen's coming in, need to support Trevor better, offensive pieces and weapons, okay? So offensive skill guys. But I'd be lying if I said the information I got wasn't leaning more towards McMillan than it was to Jeanty. But now there's buzz that it could be Jeanty there.
Right.
Is that New England giving out the buzz? Think about it.
Okay.
Or Jacksonville just wants him. Because for the longest time, you Patriots fans, who I'm surrounded by, and my family and my friends, for the longest time, it was, if Shador gets to us at 3 or 4, someone's going to want to come and trade up, right?
I get what you're saying now. I wasn't picking up right away. I get what you're saying now.
But if you're a Patriots fan, the hopeful thing is, because listen, Will Campbell's going to be your draft pick in the first round. I'd really like to get him at 10.
Here we go. So you're saying,
or I'd even like to get him at 5.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care if it's 1 spot, 5 spots, and if it's not him, then I'll take Kelvin Banks, or I'll go a different, but like whatever it is. I just don't want to have to take Will Campbell at 4, because I haven't talked to a single frickin' person in the league who. Two things are across the board with Will Campbell going to New England. Yep, I get it. Terrible to be backed up into that need. Put in the same situation with that quarterback, that situation, that offensive line. Might have to do it myself. Going to be a damn good football player. Might be a guard, but he's going to be a damn good football player. So you're getting a really good football player at 4. Then the second part that is across the board, everyone I've talked to, not worth the 4th pick. not worth the fourth pick. Will Campbell is not the fourth pick in this draft. But these offensive tackles are going to go. And I'll come back to the offensive tackles in a minute. Mm-hmm. But I do find it interesting as we get 48 hours away from the NFL draft. The name is Ashton Jeanty. And here's my list. Here's my list of notes I've been taking.
Okay.
It's Jacksonville 5. I'm told it's not 6 to the Raiders, and I trust my source there. But maybe they're like playing chess while the rest are playing checkers, and maybe they're trying to get people to cool off. No, you can get Jeanty later. Bears, you can get. And now there's talk of the Bears at 10, and also one team I can confirm has been making calls to move up, and the fact is, the news is, if we're doing news and noise today, everyone wants to do news and noise. If we're doing news today, the news is Denver's made calls to move up. The noise potentially could turn into news is that Denver's doing that. Sean Payton wants to go up and get Ashton Jeanty. Denver currently has their 3 20, 51, and 85 in the first 3 picks, 7 picks.
That's how you sort through news or noise, right? Does it make football sense?
Correct.
Right.
And then you make more calls. But all of those teams could be the Jeanty stuff. Interesting from Ryan Poles. There's a lot of phone calls going on right now. Quote unquote, a lot more movement than there has been in the past in reference to. I was reading it again, and honestly, I can't tell if it means after 2 and 3 or I can't imagine he'd be talking about the second and third round. So something about after 2 and 3, and a drop off, but a lot more movement than there has been in the past. And Brian's acutely aware there's been no movement now. But I think he's indicating that he's expecting a lot of movement to have, which goes against the grain of what everyone's been saying. There's not a lot of elite players. There's not going to be a lot of movement. I'm telling you, something's coming down the pipe. Sorry, right. Tucker. I didn't mean to bang the table.
New England gets bailed out if that happens. You think back to it. You think about New England losing that last game to a Buffalo team that didn't have any, stake in it, and Joe Milton slinging it around, and man, that it's crazy to think about that one game.
How about the Giants?
How much it shifted,
dude. Yes, but the Giants, poor Giants fans, like what you've passed on quarterback, but also this year, they lose that game, they get Cam Ward.
Yes.
How much? Do you know how much cap? I don't know exactly, but I've been told by a very good source. It was a bleep ton that they were willing to get to move up to number 1. And it was pretty close to happening, I think, at the Combine, was my understanding. That was
right.
They weren't that far apart.
Oh, man, talk about mismanaging.
Let's turn the page. Houston.
Oh, we're going to Houston. Let's go.
Houston's at 25. I've heard they're another team that I've confirmed have been making calls to try to move up. Here's the thing, and we've been trying to explain this. And we'll talk to Joe about the offensive line, but I'm sure these 2 meat sticks, these 2 former big guard tackles, will want to talk offensive linemen when we get Joe Douglas on. I'm pumped to talk to Joe. These offensive tackles, they're the first one. Will Campbell is the 5th or 6th from last year. Okay. They're not. It's not the group. Same at wide receiver, same at quarterback. Okay, but the problem is there's 2 parts to this. First of all, there's just not many of them, and so when it dries up, offensive tackles the same way every year. Early second round guys go late first go middle go early. And so the offensive tackles are going to go fast. Like everyone I talk to is like they don't deserve to. They're going fast. Okay, they're also young. I think it was Breer or someone, and it was a great point because I was saying this when we went through our offensive. Like there's some stuff, there's some immaturity, but they're all with the exception of like Zabel, they're all like 20, right. Turning 21, 22. So they're still developing. So there's hope for this group. So I think you're more comfortable knowing that a Membu is just a pup. And a Banks is just a pup, even though he started 42 games. Like
Connerly Jr., I think, is young too. Yeah.
pup, right? So my point is this. I can almost guarantee you 3 offensive tackles are coming off the board in the top 13 picks. I'm staring at that camera. That should be on that camera. What I'm saying is...
hold on. Which
Campbell,
three?
Yeah, Will Campbell from LSU.
Okay.
Tackle, maybe moving into guard. But not for New England Patriots. He's going to be the number 4 pick, or he will be the Patriots pick. If they move out, they'll still try to get him. Armand Membu, I feel very strongly he's going in the top 10. That's a lock. I am told that the clock starts ticking at 6 with the Raiders. I keep hearing. I got a text actually this morning. I'm out walking. Beautiful. So nice to be out here this time of year.
It's nice, man.
I wonder how Green Bay's weather is today. I love Packers fans. One of the best trips of my life was going to Lambeau Field for the first time ever. I got to do the Lambeau Leap. It was a Leonard Fournette game.
Oh, no way.
LSU, Wisconsin. Me, Steve Levy, Greasy. We had an awesome time. The people are awesome. I'm a cheese lunatic, so I do miss that part, but I don't miss the weather. Where was I going? Oh, I'm on a walk this morning, and I get a text. And it's hey, what are you hearing? I'm hearing Vegas with Membu. And I'm like, yep, that's what I'm hearing. Edge, offensive tackle, not Jeanty. Okay, so with that in mind, then you start looking down the board a little bit, and 13. The reason I said that there's 3 offensive tackles going. Miami is by my understanding is the floor for Kelvin Banks. Okay. And so now you're looking at that and saying, yeah, but you got maybe Chicago 10 left tackle.
Yep.
Right? 11 San Francisco left tackle. I don't know that Banks is going to get there is my point, okay? So Houston having the offensive line, changing the whole culture of that O-line group. Basically everyone from coaches to players, gone, get out from last year.
Okay.
Not acceptable. The bar's not acceptable. The culture in that room's not acceptable. We're re-racking. They're sitting at 25, and they're like, shoot. Those 3 are gone in the top 10, 13 at the latest, right? Gray Zabel's gone at 18 at the latest. North Dakota State guard. Josh Simmons, maybe a knuckle, maybe immature, but most talented offensive tackle in this class is coming out of Ohio State. He ain't lasting to 25. Who's next?
Connerly and Ursery, is that right?
Connerly and Ursery.
Yeah.
And Ursery's a 2 for most teams I've talked to, okay? I like Ursery a lot. I see the potential. So, Houston's a team. So the point is these tackles are going. Ashton Jeanty, there's a lot of buzz around. We're keep digging on the Travis Hunter situation. But Denver is actively making calls to move up. Houston actively making calls to move up. The Cowboys seem to be up to something.
And Houston has 4 top 100 picks, that's right? Got it right here on the list. I got the same thing as you. Yeah.
4 top 89 picks, yes.
Okay.
But yes, top 100. They both are accurate. And it's kind of hanging in the balance starting at that 5th pick, right?
Yes.
Is Jacksonville taking Tet McMillan or are they taking Ashton Jeanty? And if it's Ashton Jeanty in the next 48 hours and it's confirmed by someone, so if that leaks right out, now is New England hitting the lottery.
Right.
Because someone's moving up for Jeanty.
Bailed out.
Could Sean Payton orchestrate a trade from 20 to 4? But if you need a left tackle in your New England,
you're not getting, yeah. Yep.
Houston's trying to trade it from 25.
Unless Vrabel's got those Ohio State ties and he's heard, he's got more information on Simmons than anyone else and he feels like maybe he's there and maybe they're comfortable with that. I just love that tie-in.
No, I know. So that's where we are. A lot of fascinating stuff. My big board's out, man. Final one. Never felt more At ease.
You slept all right?
Truest, most pure board I've ever done. Let me share something with you, okay? I take a great deal of pride in my evaluations, whether they suck or they're great or they're in between and whatever you think about them. Like, the work we put in speaks for itself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. But there's this thing that goes on as I got later into my career, and now I'm moving up and I'm elevated to the front, to the desk, and I'm on the first night of the draft, and there's ABC, and now all of a sudden Marriott's calling. I get a sponsorship, and there's a Todd's Best Available, and it's running on the left side of the screen for everyone to see. Millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people to watch on their, in their living room, at the bar, wherever. And so, I never specifically was like, I'm going to move a guy down, but I was cognizant, and probably, if I'm being honest, probably a little subconsciously more aware that all right, I know, because I'm talking to people in the league, that this guy at 20, he's going to 35. I don't want him to be sitting there for fucking 2 hours and have his name at the top of the board. And then what happens is the host starts asking, well, you've had him at the top of the board for an hour and a half.
Right.
What's wrong? Is there something? Because then honestly, I don't want those questions to start swirling. Then what happens is that naturally the host always asks, oh, maybe there's a character, is there a medical thing that we didn't know? So there's a protection mechanism. So I was always careful to make sure that they were kind of in the range. I'm free.
You're encouraged. I mean, talking to Connor before the show, he was like, yeah, man, stick with your gut. Whatever you think is right, go with it. It's not well, if he's not going to go there, should we move him up? It was, what do you believe? What are you seeing? What do you think? Put him where you think he should be.
Yeah, and I'm talking 4 or 5 spots to make sure there wasn't an embarrassment or people started to worry about. So I would always kind of make sure within a range, right? But now I get to just do it free and easy. I'm taking hacks. I've got some crazy stuff in here, and that's okay.
It's not crazy.
No,
it's unique.
No, for audience who's looking at everyone else's top 100 and all that. But I'm also I've gotten some people who've shared me their board. Okay, and there's some stuff in there you'd be like, wait, what? Wait, what? I'm telling you, some crazy stuff. So it is what it is. And the other part too is the teams, all different schemes, different, criteria, objectives, psychological, all of it. But I'm proud of this board, man. I'm excited about this board. I ain't winning the huddle report this year. Sorry, guys. I've shown you that I have enough contacts in the league. I can kind of manufacture 5 or 6 guys at the end.
We'll see. You're going to be in the running.
I'll turn it in tonight. I'll probably come in 20th. That's fine. But this board is my baby. My baby. So now that we have it, do we have graphics built? Are we going to roll any of it out? What are we doing with it? I don't care. Mensch is going to pick it apart. Take it, Mensch.
Listen, I'm a man of the people, and I have my own questions here, but I'm going to ask what the people want to know first, and that would be who's quarterback 2? What'd you end up with?
Jackson Dart.
You want to talk about it a little bit, or do you think you've said enough?
I think I've said enough.
Okay.
Jackson Dart for me fits more systems. Fits more.
But you like the player a little bit more.
I like him.
Right.
I like him. So I had Jackson Dart at 20 and Shedeur Sanders at 21. It's okay. It's not okay if you're Brian Daboll or, it would be okay. But you have to make a choice, and I made a choice. I made a choice of Jackson. If all things were equal schematically, I'm taking Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. What factors in is obviously what fits best in what you're trying to do and accomplish. And so Shedeur Sanders could fit best for Kevin Stefanski, as I've said, whereas Jackson Dart would fit better for Kellen Moore with the New Orleans Saints and Brian with the Giants. But yeah, I made my stance perfectly clear. I've got them at 20 and 21, and some people might say that's a little bit high. I actually think they can both succeed in the NFL, and I don't know that 20 and 21 is too high. I thought it was reasonable.
I did have them a little lower.
That's fair. What do you got next? Just let's firewall it.
Okay, so we've already talked about it. We already hit on it, but I'm going to give you another shot at it. Tetaroa McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. You didn't wake up the next day and have a Jerry Maguire moment of, oh my God, I have to change this back. I can't leave him there.
Nope.
He ended up at 50.
I don't trust him. There, I'm going to say it. I'm on my freedom. I'm on my own freedom trail.
Number 1 receiver on my board at the end of it.
Good.
Unless you're counting Travis Hunter, but go ahead.
I get it. And I see the talent, and I wish him the best, and I hope it all comes together, and I hope he learns how to light his own fire.
That's it.
Period,
mic drop, done.
I don't trust him.
Okay.
I don't trust, and I have reports, and I know that Jed Fish had his, as one scout said, when he was great, when Jed Fish had his foot on his throat. Don't take that the wrong way. Like, obviously, it means like someone who is monitoring and making sure that pushing him, driving him.
Correct.
When Jed Fish left town, there was a new sheriff in town, and it was Tet.
Yep.
Tet didn't like to work out and practice hard unless a scout was in attendance. Showed up on the routes.
Okay.
Quitting on balls over the middle field. Didn't think he showed attention to detail. I get offended personally for Drake London when people say, oh, he's the next Drake London. Yeah, no, he's the same size. He makes the same acrobatic catches. Drake was a dog.
I agree with that. I think that is a not that I don't agree with all the other stuff, by the way, but that is a fair point you brought up early on. When the ball is in the air, they can both go up and get it. Don't get us wrong. But Drake doesn't believe in 50-50 balls. He believes in that's my ball.
Yeah.
That's his mentality.
So, and again, like I see the talent. I'm not, but it's what I like to call a you can have him grade.
The next thing that jumped out to me, and we've had this conversation over the course of the show, and I thought it was very interesting. Mason Taylor ends up at 28, the tight end from LSU, and Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo ends up at 39. What ultimately came, because I think both of us have been flip-flopping, right?
I struggle with it.
I had Arroyo higher in the end for me. I thought you would too, and it kind of caught me off guard.
Here's a trend that I think you'll notice throughout this thing. I did two things. I went back because I said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm done. Okay?
Right.
And that wasn't one of the trends. But I'm done like worrying about this, and I'm just going to go with the following two things, right? Put myself in one of those 32 chairs, and I got to make this decision. And I got a wife and kids at home.
Right.
Right? And we like living in here, and my kids like going to the school district. And I like working for this owner. And I like all the people who I've been fortunate enough to lead, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of put yourself in that mind frame. Okay? And when doing so, it's how do I best protect this organization? Bring in the best talent, but I've got to protect. I have been handed this authority to, and part of my job is to protect this organization. In doing so, I've got to figure out who can contribute, who can help, and then also where's my risk line, right? I absolutely love Elijah Arroyo. I think he's got more prick in him, and I mean that in the most positive way,
right,
than the top three tight ends in this class. If you were to tell me you got one play and you could give me, here are the top four tight ends in this class, and I'm going to need a block down the field to spring something, or I'm going to need someone to just go fight his tail off for me, it's Arroyo. Arroyo was that guy. Elijah's an absolute dog, man. But with Mason Taylor, two things. He's durable. He's consistent. He's reliable. He's his dad's son. He's lived this game. I know exactly what I'm getting with Mason Taylor. Okay?
He's the definition of plug and play, which is a good thing.
Here's the second thing, though. There's more upside in that tank.
I agree.
I went back and I read my reports, and I did this in a lot of guys because I wanted to make sure I was accurately portraying what I studied on tape. I studied my reports to study what I studied on tape, so I stuck with it. And I went back to Mason Taylor, and I put it in there twice. There's more in there for this guy. Didn't utilize him fully. They used him how they wanted to use him at LSU, and he was clutch. That dude was clutch, by the way.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Alabama remembers
2 years ago,
freshman,
right?
But this year, like Ole Miss, late in the game, he did some things in big moments. But they did. It was a lot of drags underneath the outlet stuff, the flat stuff. Okay, I want to see him more down the seam, running routes. So I think there's more in that tank. I love both players. Arroyo's there's a risk level there, and that would be why I would take Taylor over him, even though I do think there's a slightly higher upside, and I think and I know he's a better blocker than Mason Taylor with Arroyo. Yeah.
The overall ranking reflects two guys you like a lot.
A lot
It
for
was
tight
just-
ends. Yeah.
I mean, for me, that was a tight race. I was fascinated to see where you ended up with it. Player I want to talk about personally.
Yeah.
That I don't think you're super low on, but I'm higher on. I think he's just being slept on. Is the Oregon edge Jordan Birch?
I'm not a huge fan. So can you
200
tell me why?
279 pounds. He runs a 4.67. You look at his production and you're like, oh, that's okay. Just remember, he missed 4 games too. Those numbers condense the numbers based on 10 games, not 14 games. Okay? Could play anywhere along your front. Inside, outside. I think he can play as a stand-up outside linebacker if you want him to. Could rush the passer from the inside. Extremely versatile, more productive than people think, and he ran a 4.67 at 279 pounds. Now, granted, this is the tough part about all this. And we had to talk about this on the way in. Okay, well, then who are you moving him ahead of? Because there's a lot of talented edges. There's a lot of other edges that I like too. But Jordan Birch, you ended up with that 75. I don't think that's, for lack of a better way of saying it, disrespectful. I think that's pretty much where a lot of people have him. And, that's a good grade, man. That's not a bad grade. For me personally, that's someone I would take a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he's your guy.
Okay, cool.
I'm not brushing it off. I didn't see. I see potential. The hard part with him and Landon Jackson, if I'm being honest, is they're big-bodied dudes who should play one way and play another.
Yeah, I didn't see that as much with Jackson either, by the way. You made that point a couple times. I think Jackson can play that 4-eye position. You don't think he's rugged enough to do that?
I'm concerned. No, I don't. I actually don't.
Yeah, we don't agree on everything, right?
We don't. We don't have to.
Talk to me, because this happened to me last year. I loved the defensive tackle class last year, and it played out that they were pretty damn good. And I love the defensive tackle class this year. And you got Walter Nolan at 16, which I love because, I think he was a little bit up and down your board over the course of the year.
I'm going to need my leadership council to be on top of that
I got it. But you ultimately, too good not to, right?
Too good not to.
4 in the top 25, I believe. I think Grant was 25.
Yeah.
You obviously love this class too.
Yep.
Last year, I thought all these guys were going to come off the board, man. And Braden Fisk, when he didn't go in the first round, I know. Like, Sweat didn't go in the first round.
Yeah.
It surprised me. And there's still a lot went in the top 100. I think it was 11. You have 13 in the top 100 going this year. I'm just worried that some of these guys are going to get pushed down because of the positional value. Any concerns about that? And by the way, one guy that I was very surprised that didn't make it in, but again, where do you put him? Just outside the top 100. Do you remember any idea who I might be talking about?
Omar Norman Lott.
Oh, God,
I know.
man.
I had him in there and had to move him out.
It's tough, right?
Very tough.
Those are the decisions when you get...
Let me give you a couple guys. We'll have fun. We'll have fun on Thursday night. Okay. Scattaboo was really hard to knock out of the top 100, not just because of you, Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Sampson. Okay. I went with my boy Tyrion Ingram Dawkins from Georgia because if he gets drafted in the top 100 and I didn't have him, I couldn't.
We
couldn't
both
live
see the potential there. Yep.
But I don't think he's going in the top 100. But I just couldn't live with that moment that he goes at pick 99 or 100, and you're like, McShay, your boy, and I'm like, yeah, but I put him at 105.
Right.
So those are a couple names. Omar Norman Lott, I had to bump down. Jalen Lane, I bumped down.
I know. That's another one you love.
Second. We'll see.
Yeah. That's the hardest for me going through.
Gunnar Helm.
Going through this process the last couple of years for me, when you get the first 85 is easy, right?
And you start to feel the room condenses.
Yes, and then you get about to 85,
oxygen
86,
isn't in the room.
And you're like, there's no way I'm leaving player A out of this, right? Like, I love player A.
I know.
But you just know. You have a feeling for it at that point that it's probably not in the cards and someone's going to get a great 4th round pick here.
All right, we got to get out of here. We got Joe coming in. Joe Douglas was most recently with the New York Jets as general manager. Can't wait to talk to Joe. Can't wait to talk to you guys on Thursday night. Like, be with us, join us. I don't care about. Just come with us. If it's got to be a second screen, it's got to be a second screen. We're gonna have a blast. 1 hour before live streaming, YouTube, Spotify. Get involved. You don't want to miss this. It's gonna we're gonna be on top of stuff, and we're gonna have texts coming in, pics, talking. Here, some backs. There's just gonna be a lot of stuff that I know you've never gotten before. So we'll hopefully share it and have some fun with it, and we'll have some laughs along the way.
Dude, final mock draft tomorrow. Don't forget about that. I'm fired up for this show. This is gonna be my
Mock
it's gonna be
4.0 is being turned in tonight. Come back with us tomorrow morning. We will have the mock reveal show. But I might have to do a mock 4.1.
Heads up, Dan. That's coming, Dan.
Don't tell Dan.
It's coming.
Don't tell Dan. All right. Joe Douglas is up next. There he is.
Yes.
What's up?
What's up, boys?
It's so good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. It's great to see you guys.
I like the backdrop. You look so official.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the nice office chair for the larger mammal, so it's good. It's good.
I need to invest in one of those. So here we are, man. We're like hours, not days from the draft, and
I know. Exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah. But I know you guys have poured a ton of work into this draft, and it's kind of cool. Like, this is always it's a special weekend in general, but obviously for the scouts, it's like their game, their only game of the season.
yeah,
So
I'm curious. So, we got so many stories to tell and mess around and all that stuff, but I'm just curious, kind of taking a step back, big picture, right? For people out there who are tuning into the show, all right, you've done all the work, and we've kind of tried to document the process for everyone, but right now, you're one of 32 sitting in that chair. What is going on Tuesday, Wednesday? You've got your board set and all that. Take us through what is the general manager you're doing now before the draft.
Yeah, so this is the time. Usually the scouts come in on either Sunday night or Monday before the draft, and you kind of have a speak now, forever hold your peace meeting with the coaches and the scouts. You kind of go over the board one more time. You go over the players one more time, and then it's just maybe tidying up a few strategy meetings with coordinators, with the head coach, putting the plan together. You're gonna go over everything with ownership, basically give them the roadmap for exactly how the night's gonna go. These are the 4 players that we'd consider trading up for, and we'd be willing to give this up. If they're gone, we're happy to take any of these 5 players. We'll turn it in. We'll run it up. No hesitation. Okay, if those guys are gone, we're happy to take this next clump of players. But now we're entertaining calls. We're entertaining trade back calls. So you're just walking. You're walking ownership through that. You're making sure you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure there's no surprises.
So you've decided at this point what you'd be willing. Let's say you want to move up 4 spots, or
Right.
a player's falling, and you're like, all right, we want to go. You've decided what you're willing to part ways with in order to go move up.
Yeah, everyone. I feel like everyone used to work off the Jimmy Johnson trade chart.
Yeah.
I think every team has their own proprietary trade chart now,
Right.
based on their team's analytics group. So you're making the calls ahead of time. We'd have our meetings with the coaching staff around the second week of April, and then in between that week of meetings and this week, you're calling teams and you're just trying to get a feel for, are you willing to trade up? Are you willing to trade back? So you're kind of laying the groundwork now for some trades, and then you really put together, okay, if this player is available at this pick, we're willing to give this up in a trade. And look, sometimes that scenario happens, and the team, obviously, it takes 2 to tango, right? The team's just not willing to budge, or they want more, or you're willing to trade out, but the team's not willing to give you what you want. So, it's just you're just working through all those different scenarios.
So we're hearing today, right? And I've just had someone in the league text me we're hearing this. Can you find out any more information? That there's a team aggressively trying to move up to 2, even at this point. Love for Travis Hunter, right? When you're Is that surprising to you at this point? That is it too late in the process? Is it surprising that it's happening right now, or is it just the information's coming out?
No, it's surprising that information is coming out. Usually, when a move like that happens, it depends on how far back that team is that wants to get to two. It's a little surprising that's coming out.
And
If
it may
it's
not
true.
even be true, but it's
Right, it
just,
may not be true. It may just be speculation. But yeah, I mean, you're having those conversations. You're laying the groundwork now. And I think there's been cases of teams making those trades. Usually it's
it's already happened.
or now.
Yeah.
But or even the day of, if I can remember correctly. I can't remember when Tom Dimitrov traded up for Julio. Like I think that might have been a day of
That was that
trade.
day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the day. So when you're making significant jumps, and again, if a team's willing to do that, I don't know how far back they are. Yeah, I mean that could be down to like an hour before the draft or even on the clock.
Awesome. Can we talk about the offensive line now or what?
No, not yet. No,
course.
no.
Come on.
No, not
Let's
yet.
go, man.
No,
Yeah.
not yet.
I mean,
When
it all
did-
starts up front. We know that.
Not
yes,
yet.
let's talk. No,
Not-
let's talk about the quarterbacks for the
No,
90th show in a row.
not yet. No. I need to know this. I've been fascinated. I can't believe I've never asked you this question before, so let's just do it here.
Yeah.
This should be good.
So who's in charge of the spread for the weekend? As a general manager, do you get
God.
control of what food is being brought in, what the catering situation is? Do you ask scouts does everyone get an opinion, or do they get to? How does that whole thing work? Because to me,
Yeah, I mean,
outside of
I've
picking the player,
never-
that's it.
That's a great question. I mean, usually the team and the ownership, I mean, it's calorie overload. Like it's just an entire spread, whatever you want. I mean, right there, a buffet. And it's a little outrageous. I mean, there's been a couple requests over the years. And we're able to get some certain sandwiches in for the Saturday, specifically the Saturday of the
Yeah, I can see
like
Saturday
that's a
being a
scout
grind.
favorite, like because that last day, I mean, that's really the scouts' day, right? Like everybody knows the first, second, third round guys, but like
right.
when you're diving into day three and undrafted free agency, I mean that's the scouts' day.
All right, go ahead with your offensive lineman, Mitch.
Yeah,
Let's go, Steve.
it's about time, man.
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah.
get your thoughts on the tackle group. Is there maybe someone that you like more than maybe McShay would like a Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, or is there
Yeah,
someone a little
I
farther down
think-
the board?
Yeah, Josh Simmons, I think, is a freak athlete. I mean, every sport starts from the ground up, and like that guy has a lot of natural tools in terms of his ability to sink and bend. He can run. I mean, he's really gifted. I think overall, the tackle group, I don't think it's as strong as it was last year. I thought that was an exceptional group last year.
Agree.
But I still think that there's plenty of good offensive linemen in this draft. And I mean, Josh Simmons is one. I mean, he's a has elite traits. I think him and Membu, you could argue, probably have the most athletic and physical upside of the entire group. But I think there's a flavor for everybody. If you want that gritty, nasty, tough guy, kind of Logan Mankins, Yonda vibe, there's a few of those guys. If you're looking for the elite athlete, you got a couple of those guys. Developmental guys, there's a few of those guys. So I think it's not as top heavy as last year in the tackle group, but it's still a solid group.
What's your take on Will Campbell and that whole arm length situation?
Yeah. Look, again, Will, like I said with Josh, I think from the ground up, like, he can bend. He's got great lower flex. He can sink his hips.
His sets are amazing, man.
He can uncoil his hips. He has great ankle flexion. Like he can dig all of his cleats in the ground against the bull rush. He's
fucking
tough.
love you, offensive lineman.
Let's
You
go.
guys
Yeah, man, we're
you
going
guys
into
are
the
insane.
Let's go.
It's the big man ballet. Like it's very technical. Like he does a lot of great things. I think he's good with his hands, like from the neck up too. Like I think, his mind, his processor works fast. I mean, the length is a concern. Some teams are real sticklers for length. Other teams just give me the football player. Will is an absolute dog of a football player. And, I think, I'll say this, you saw it in the Super Bowl when Length showed up. And Joe Thuney's an all-pro guard, and he's one of the best offensive linemen to ever lace him up. But he played out of position at left tackle, and I think you saw the Eagles able to exploit a lack of length there.
Yeah.
So I think it did show up on tape. But at the end of the day, I mean, that dude's a baller. I mean, that dude is a hell of a football player.
Agree.
There's some business to take care of here, Mensch. I've got to host this crazy thing. You're doing it with Jay Glazer. You're going to work with Jay Glazer and the crew for Fox Sports,
awesome.
right? And their producer wanted to make sure that they wanted us to make sure we got the information out there. I'll say, like, it is absolutely going to be the second best thing that you want to tune into on draft night outside of the McShay Show with Mensch and I live streaming. No, but seriously, like, this sounds fun. Listen to this, Mensch. You ready? I don't even think you know the exact details. Tune into Fox Sports Radio draft night, right? Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, throughout the first round. You've got Glazer, Joey D, LeVar Arrington, College Football Hall of Famer, right? And Jenny Taft, who's like all over this thing. Like, Jenny Taft's awesome. She's awesome at what she does. So covering all 32 picks, predictions, reactions, everything you can imagine. Just to have like Joe's like intel and analysis, like I don't know.
That's a great roster.
It's a great roster. So
Yeah,
Thursday
we're gonna
night-
have fun. We're gonna have fun, man. And Jay is the absolute best at intel, and I'm sure there's gonna be someone that LeVar likes a lot that goes really, really high that we'll be able to talk about early in the night. So
I'm sure
we're gonna have a good time. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of laughs, but also we're gonna talk about these guys and what they can do and how they can help the team that drafts them. So it's going to be exciting.
So that's on Fox Sports Radio and also a live stream simulcast on Fox Sports Radio YouTube page. So check Joe out there. I made Joe promise before he went and did something big and media thing when he's doing just kind of hanging right now that he would come on with us, and he is always good to his word. How you been, man? Everything good?
I'm having a blast. Just being able to sink my teeth into this draft class, not letting the draft class go without getting to know the players and evaluating all these guys, and thankful for the evening that I'm going to have on Thursday with Jay and Jenny and LeVar. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, but it's good, man. It's been it's been fun and just staying in it, and excited about this week and excited about the future.
I got to ask, man, like when you became a free agent and you're sitting there and you're evaluating things in your life, did you ever think about, changing courses and getting back into the acting career? Because I don't know if everyone knows about this, man.
No,
but Joe's brilliant performance in The Replacements, a little 2000 film starring Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I forgot about that for a minute.
John Wick 7 with Joe Douglas. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Do you still have your SAG card?
Do you still talk to Keanu?
I think he lost my number at some point over the last 26 years. We did that back in 1999. I can't believe it. Like that's
wild.
You killed it, man.
Who else?
Yeah, we had fun.
Who else was in that with you?
It was Jasper.
And
then Seth Wyman had a role speaking behind the dad that was also in Something About Mary when he was talking like the union rep of the movie.
Right.
Seth made a cameo, but me and Jasper were the two Richmond guys in pads. Is crazy because Seth's brother's girlfriend did all the movies or the commercials that came through the DC metro area, and we just finished playing at Richmond, and she was like, "Hey, they're doing a movie. You should go try out." So it was me and Jasper, Wyman, Elio, of course.
Yep. Elio Imbernoni, and people may know him as Iceman now.
Mr. Ice.
Yep.
Mr. Ice.
I made the mistake of introducing Elio, our good friend.
You can't talk enough about Elio. He's one of the
all-timers.
He's a true character in life.
I introduced him. So I was doing college games. I think I was going around with like Mike Godfrey back in the day. I think that was, I know I was. I think that was a point in time when I was going around and kind of helping Mike Godfrey out in that Saturday night SEC package for ESPN, right? I just started my career. So I introduced Elio to Portnoy because they were both like I was leaving for the weekend, and so I come back on Sunday night. Come back. I think I was like Mississippi State. Get back in, and I'm like, where are you guys? And finally after like 5 phone calls to their cell phone, one of them picked up. They're like, it's not good. And I'm like, what do you mean? I think it's
like the hangover. We messed up.
He goes,
man.
nope, not good. They met 2 of the biggest degenerate gamblers.
Oh yeah, the stars align.
And I didn't even think. I'm like, yeah, you guys should hang out. Like I'm going to be gone this week. You guys should hang out. You're both in the city. And they lost like $24,000 combined in the first weekend they met. And like they're now closer friends than I am even with Elio or Portnoy. And I grew up with Portnoy, so that was that's.
It couldn't have been a more perfect match of degenerates coming together to form like a Justice League of what they do best.
No question.
But I mean. We could do this. I mean, I've told people like you could write probably a 15-season sitcom about just our 5 years.
Do you ever think back on like
what?
Do you ever think back on like all the Richmond was a tiny school, a tiny program, and all like Joe Cullen now like Super Bowl champ, like defensive line coach and all, but not just like where everyone's gone on, but the absolute lunacy that was going on in that place.
Oh, like, it's amazing. Like people used to love to hear, other scouts would love to hear the stories, the University of Richmond stories, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of them. And I know
not a lot
you
can share right now.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to go. I mean, we could do a whole series, like years of it, but. I know you guys were on Sousa or with Sousa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're talking about the private Fortenberry story with Elio. Just the fact that the University of Richmond had at least 10 coaches on staff and 3 strength and conditioning coaches. And by like 2 years into Elio's time there, they were just like hands up, like, hey, ROTC, you take this guy every morning. We're just so tired.
So Elio was such a handful. Elio was such a handful that they finally, Jim Reed, our coach at the time, the head coach, Jim Reed finally was like, fine, like I can't do it. So I'm gonna hand you to ROTC. And we would go out and would party on like after a game on a Saturday night or in the off season. And he would have to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning every morning and go run every day. I don't know how long. It felt like it went on for like over a year.
They couldn't break him.
This was years. Plural. But Elio refused to conform. Obviously,
you couldn't break.
And Elio had it figured out before any of us. Like we all went into Richmond, like trying to figure out what we were going to do in life. Like Elio knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah, his dad was
take over his dad's business,
fresh off the boat from Italy.
Have as much fun as humanly possible. Gamble as much. Literally screaming. Summer school, we're upstairs in the apartment. I hear him screaming. He's literally watching every pitch of a game on the internet, 1997 internet, because there's no ticket back then. So like he's like living and dying with every pitch for like a Reds game, and you're like,
and meanwhile, Mark Megna, who got drafted and went and played the NFL with the Jets
happen?
and the Patriots, they were roommates.
How were they?
And
roommates?
Mark was like a drill sergeant. He was like officer gentleman. Like screws loose, and I mean that in the best way too, but like insanely committed. And like I remember one time I walked into their apartment, and Mark got so fed up with his nonsense, he took his head and he threw it into the wall, and Elio's head's in the wall, like the drywall. He can like see inside the wood. Oh my gosh.
He used to make Elio go into the closet for timeout. That is true. I witnessed it.
Didn't Elio get a touchdown his freshman year, and then they interviewed him after the game?
It was like the second to last. It was the second to last.
Richmond
game.
was like 2 and whatever.
Right? Yeah, the head coach was getting ready to be fired.
Right,
and that was the year before Coach Reed came.
Yeah,
and so the second to last game, they completely wasted Elio's red shirt. threw him in. I forget the team. He had a touchdown. Literally first time he touched the ball. He had a touchdown because he's just such a natural athlete.
And then they interview him after the game, though, and he predicts
interview him after
a
the
win.
game. And he's like, I guarantee you're going to beat William and Mary. I guarantee it. He literally played in 5 minutes of one game, and he's just laying the gauntlet out. And I think William and Mary was like the best team in the league that year. And he's like, I guarantee we're going to beat them. God. We did not, but I think it was like 13 You know, and all the freshmen. I mean, you should have seen the sideline when Elio came back from scoring his touchdown. Like, we were all the guys that were redshirting were so excited. Like, we just mobbed him, you know, because he was a great.
He was good.
And he just made things fun.
Yes.
Because, like, I say this a lot about Todd. You mentioned it, like all the guys that came out of Richmond that have stayed in football, right?
Yeah.
One shape, one way or the other. Coach, scouting, media, whatever. Like, Jim Reed made sure the team was loaded with people who loved football.
Yeah.
You know, but it was also really hard. It was really hard. Like, we were all we had. And Elio was such a great teammate because he would always make us laugh.
Yes.
You know, he'd always like
that more than anything.
In the most miserable time, you know, like he's gonna like we're in the locker room. It's like 5 o'clock. We're getting ready for mat drills, and I'm sitting next to Elio, and he just does Amy from Congo, the gorilla, and he's just like, Amy, run sprints. Amy, throw up today. You know, you're just like, you can't help but laugh. You know, you're just dying.
Yeah, we were talking about Coach Leonard the other day, and I mean, it was tough to play for him, but he was just so great how much he cared about you, and then he let us have fun. He let us be ourselves as much as it was. I mean, the schedule was insane, man. I mean, especially when you were a freshman there, they gave you no free time. It was a tough program to go through, but Leonard was great.
6 days in study hall.
Yeah, Leonard was great about being tough on you, but still letting you be kind of your own guy and having some fun with it, man.
Yeah, and if you did things the right way for Coach Leonard, he had your back.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah. He was going to fight for you all the time. And he's just one of the most loyal coaches I ever played for. One of the best coaches I ever played for. He's the man.
It's great to see you, brother.
Yeah.
It's good to see that smile on your face.
We could do this for hours.
I'm telling you, the year that I took off from what I was doing turned out to be, and I didn't know it in the time. And I was, frustrated about certain things, but like it turned out to be the best blessing that ever happened in my life. And I see it in you. Like, can't wait to see what, where you decide, what you choose. I'm sure a ton of things you'll choose from, but
John Wick 7.
But we love you and we appreciate you taking the time. Excited to see what you're doing with Glazer, what you're doing next, and can't wait to catch up with you out here in LA, man.
Yeah, man. Love you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Man. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.